Hello, and welcome to Levels Plus Whenever episode 147. And today we're going to be looking at some genres and ranking my favorite games out of 4 particular genres. 3 of which I'm not the most enthusiastic about, which is sports games, racing games, and puzzle games. But we've also got beat-em-ups and brawlers to kind of end cap this. So it's a nice follow-up to the fighters list I did a long time ago, and the many more that I've got lined up. But let's just go ahead and get right into the meat of this video because I have no pickups this week. Alright, you may remember a couple months ago we did a top fighting games list. And I had intentions of doing more videos between then and now, and they haven't happened because other things have been getting in the way. We're going to rectify that some today. We're going to look at a few different genres that I'm actually not the biggest fan of. Like sports games. Generally speaking, I don't play a lot of sports games. There's not that many that actually interest me, especially nowadays. But I do have a few favorites, mostly NES, N64 games, that I do think I want to just briefly touch on, and then we'll move on to another genre, and then another genre. I'm keeping the genre secret for funsies. International Superstar Soccer 98 is a fan-freaking-tastic game. I think it's the greatest sports game ever made. One of the 2 on my top 110 list, along with Wave Race. Brilliant game. I think it is simply marvelous. Wave Race 64 is going to show up on the racing game list too, but it is a sports game at heart. It is jet ski racing, which is a legitimate sport, and the wave physics it's still incredible. I just love that game so much. 2 hockey games right on top of each other. I do think Blades of Steel is slightly better than Ice Hockey by Nintendo on the NES. But both of them are fantastic in their own ways. 1080 is another great racing game on the N64. Extreme sports oriented, but just a really fun game. I don't know if I'm ever going to 100% it like I did with Wave Race, because some of that stuff is really hard. Especially trying to unlock tracks. It's like I was doing really well to get Deadly Fall, but man, I don't think I have the right snowboarder to be able to pull that off. Anyway, Mario Kart Super Rush is here because I like playing it with my parents. I do think Toadstool Tour is probably the better game, but I haven't played it in eons. So that is the newest sports game on this list. It will probably not be passed by anything new for quite a while until the next Mario Golf's out, and I hope it's better. Windjammers is super fun. I don't know if this is a real sport, but it's set up like one, and it's a really cool game, and it's one of Data East's high points for sure. I have a soft spot for California games. I finally got the chance to play the Commodore 64 original. A little bit different from the NES game, but still a really neat title. Tecmo Bowl, wonderful football game on the NES, just simple and fun. Side Pocket, great billiards game. I prefer the arcade version over everything else that's been made available in that series, but another high point for Data East. ESPN NFL 2K5. I spent way too much time on this game in the 2000s. And it's a bit of a shame that Sega is no longer making sports games like this. Visual Concepts was sold to 2K, and now all they do is basically basketball and occasionally wrestling. And then, of course, NBA Jam, the icon, the legend. It's worth having on this list because it's a fun, super arcadey game. Next up, puzzle games. And I actually like puzzle games a little bit more than sports games. There's a few here that I am very fond of. I'm including Portal and Portal 2 on this list because at their heart, they're puzzle games. Just because they're first person doesn't mean that they're any less of a puzzle game. Then we go to Sega Swirl, which I just adore that game so much. It's one of my favorite Dreamcast games. I don't think most people would feel as strongly as I do about it, but it is just a grand time. Cleopatra Fortune, really great drop-down puzzler that makes you rethink how to play them by having to pin in stuff to get rid of it. Meteos, again, another great way to reinvent the drop-down by having the pieces launch up when you get the chains together. Not what you would normally expect. Very cool. I have a preference for toss-up puzzle games, so Magical Drop 3 is my favorite of that style. And then Kicks, I can't think it's a puzzle game because it's a very fascinating take on a maze game, but I think there's a puzzle element to it because you have to work out a strategy as you go to not get blasted by the kicks or its little spark buddies. Not what I think most people would consider a puzzle game, but I think it has the elements that it needs to be considered. Pucci Karat, really fun anime-infused toss-up puzzler. Bust to Move again, or Bust to Move 2, really great. One of the titans in the toss-up style. Super Puzzle Fighter 2 Turbo, really fun take on a drop-down. Oh, my brain just completely... no, it starts with a P. I know what this is called. Panel to Pawn. Another really great example of a drop-down doing things a little bit differently where you slide tiles around. And last but not least is Camel Try, or On the Ball. It's one of its localized names, which you are rotating the map in order to solve the puzzles, which I think is a really clever take on the whole genre. I really like puzzle games like these, but I don't like most others. I'm not the biggest fan of Tetris. Lumines doesn't really interest me at all. I'm trying to think of a few other like major examples of the genre. Columns, I hate. That's always real low when it shows up on the Sega collection when I do ranked things. So I think I just like to have something charming and going on with the majority of single screen puzzle games, I'll just say, or something that really reinvents what the genre can mean, like with Portal or On the Ball or Kicks. So that's my feelings on puzzlers. Alright, and racing games, which I just quickly took the list that I had built and edited in what the top 12 would be, just to knock these genres out of the topic. And Wave Race, of course, is going to be at the tip top of this. It's the only racing game on my top 110 list. From there, though, we have 3 kart racers, all excellent in their own ways. I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is still slightly better than Mario Kart World, and I think it's because of breadth. I think because there are 96 freaking tracks in that game. An obscene amount of stuff to do. And Mario Kart World does not have that many, even though I think that the tracks in World are excellent and wonderful. And I love the way that Mario Kart World looks. I love the way that it feels. I think it's the best feeling Mario Kart. I do think that just because of the amount of content in 8 makes it have a bit of an edge. Plus, it actually fulfills the desire for as close to a Nintendo kart as we've currently got. And depressingly, the developers of World have said they'd have no intention of having any other any other IP enter Mario Kart World. That could be something that changes with a DLC plan, but for the time being, that's what they're saying, and it makes me a little depressed because I think that was one of the best things about Mario Kart 8 Deluxe was having Zelda and Animal Crossing and Splatoon and F-Zero and Excite Bike references and tracks and characters all in there. Anyway, Sonic and All-Star Racing's Transformed is what I would like to see Nintendo do with Mario Kart. It is more than just a Sonic racing game. It is a Sega racing game with a bunch of IP from across Sega's wide array before Atlas was acquired. And has a bunch of great tracks, a bunch of great characters. Skies of Arcadia is represented extremely well, which makes me super thrilled. Crossroads is kind of getting there. They are including Sega characters, although so far they've only shown Atlas characters and Hatsune Miku. And the DLC for that is all licensed cartoon or Minecraft. And I'm like, you kind of got what the intention I want from this game as a follow-up to Transformed, and yet you don't. I am hoping that we will get some tracks outside of Sonic from other Sega properties in here. That is my hope. Burnout Revenge. I still need to get 3 at some point, but Revenge was phenomenally good fun. I haven't played it in a long time, but I do have really strong memories of having so much joy in the moment-to-moment driving in that. 1080, talked about just a little bit ago, so I won't repeat. Crazy Taxi is sort of a racing game. You are racing to get people to their destination, and you are against a timer. So I feel like it has racing elements, so I consider it a racing game. It's really good fun. I'm eager to see what Sega's got cooking for that franchise. Outrun is a really fun arcade racer. I really like the Sega Ages version a lot. I've enjoyed running through that a couple times. Diddy Kong Racing, iconic in 64 racing game. I think it's better than Mario Kart 64. I don't think it's better than the other Mario Karts ahead of it, but I do think that by trying to add in some objective-based gameplay into the mix, it did give Diddy Kong Racing some much-needed variety. Unfortunately, it is a weird hybrid space between Nintendo and Rare, and since Rare isn't owned by Nintendo anymore, I don't know if we'll ever see it in its original form again, even with Microsoft and Nintendo on good terms. RC Pro-Am is the best NES racing game, in my opinion. It's fun. It's got a lot of engaging stuff to it. It's got cheap AI the deeper you get into it, but it's still really fun, at least at the beginning. And I think that is one of the few games that really use isometric very well for a racing game. F-Zero GX, the best F-Zero game. One that I have put some time in, more than the others. And just now that it's on NSO and it looks cleaner than it ever has officially, I think that I'll probably be diving into arcade mode and playing around with that some more. I will not be playing story mode. I value my time too much. And last but not least, it was a toss-up between Rad Mobile and Power Drift by Sega. Power Drift got the edge because I think that when I played it on the 3DS and turned the 3D on, it was really impressive. I don't have that anymore, but I do remember at the time feeling like this is a really cool concept of a game, and then just the 3D added so much to it. So it got the edge to be the 12th spot on this list. Alright, that is a real rapid fire between 3 genres I'm not the hugest fan of. Let's do one that I am more of a fan of. Beat 'em ups and brawlers. I've added a couple onto the list since I created this in December. I should update that, but I'll deal with that later. That is Warrior Blade, Rastan 3, which is exceptionally good, and Metamorphic Force by Konami, which is a very similar vibe to the X-Men arcade game, just without the license. So, let's go through what games are here, because it's a little bit hard for you to see, thanks to the zoom out. But we have Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition, Fire Emblem Warriors, Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, Kung Fu for the NES, Wario World, Final Fight, Mighty Final Fight, The King of Dragons, Knights of the Round, Dungeons & Dragons Tower of Doom, Dungeons & Dragons Shadow over Mysteria, I think. I can't quite read that one, but that's what I believe it is. Captain Commando, Battle Circuit, Armored Warriors, Dynasty Wars, Warriors of Fate, Beautiful Joe, and its sequel, Tiger Road, Avenger, The Adventures of Bayou Billy, Vendetta, Ninja Turtles, Ninja Turtles 2, Turtles in Time on the Super Nintendo. Oh, sorry, got confused there. Ninja Turtles 2, the arcade game on the NES, Ninja Turtles, Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. That's arcade. Ninja Turtles 4, Turtles in Time for the Super Nintendo. X-Men, Simpsons, Metamorphic Force, China Warrior, Altered Beast, Golden Axe 2, Golden Axe 3, Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder, Streets of Rage 1, 2, 3, and 4, Alien Storm, My Hero, Mad World, The Ninja Kids, The Ninja Warriors, The Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warriors, or Ninja Warriors once again, Puri Rula, I always have to look at that closely to make sure I say that right. Growl, Warrior Blade, Dungeon Magic, or Lightbringer, Riding Fight, River City Ransom on the NES, River City Ransom EX on the Game Boy Advance, River City Girls 2, Double Dragon Arcade, Double Dragon NES, Double Dragon 2, Double Dragon 3, Splatterhouse, Akari 3 The Rescue, Battletoads on the NES, Captain America and the Avengers in arcades, Night Slashers, Bad Dudes in the arcades, 2 Crude Arcade, Brawl Brothers, The Karate Kid on the NES, Zero Team, and Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge. Quite a selection of titles, and we need to eliminate a bunch to get down to the top 12. So let's do a first pass of games that I don't think are going to make it. Fire Emblem Warriors, if it wasn't for Lynn, I probably wouldn't have this game still. Age of Calamity had some major technical problems. I would like to pick it back up now that the Switch 2's out, and I've heard that it does wonders to optimizing it. This game's neat and important to the genre, but not a favorite. Wario World is not making it. Final Fight I want to keep in consideration, at least for this first round. Mighty Final Fight I don't like as much. King of Dragons and Knights of the Round I don't like that much. Out of the Dungeons & Dragons games, this one's going to stay. Captain Commando is good and fun, but not as good as Battle Circuit, and Battle Circuit is really wild, but I don't think it's going to be the Capcom beat-em-up that I choose if I'm going to kind of round it off at 3. That's going to be Armored Warriors, which I think is a phenomenally good mech-based beat-em-up. So we're going to cut all the rest of the Capcom stuff out. For Konami, I think that Turtles in Time for arcades is going to be that one that sticks out. I think Metamorphic Force is great on its own. And I think we'll go ahead and keep the other arcade Ninja Turtles because those are memorable and fun. For Sega, we're just going to get China Warrior out of there. Revenge of the Death Adder is definitely up there, and I think Streets of Rage 1, 2, and 4 are going to be in consideration. The rest, I think I'm going to just go ahead and eliminate. Out of Taito, we've got Ninja Warriors once again, for sure. I think Puri Rula and Warrior Blade and Dungeon Magic are all really cool as well, so we'll cut the rest. I'm going to keep River City Ransom EX and River City Girls 2 out of the Technos titles with Kunio. And out of Double Dragon, I think Double Dragon 2 on the NES is the best of them, so we'll leave that in consideration. Splatterhouse grosses me out, unfortunately. I don't really like Akari 3 that much. Battletoads is too hard. Captain America is not that good compared to Night Slashers, the best Data East beat-em-up. The others can go away. These two can go. And I think Zero Team and Shredder's Revenge are also in consideration here. So let's get this reorganized. All right, that was a good first round of elimination. We need to get up to one singular row up here for us to move into the last phase and actually talk about these games in more detail. So, what games do I feel have to be up there? I'm going to go ahead and add a third row just to help. And I'm going to scoot everything down. Because I've got opinions, and I've got some games that are on my top 110 that absolutely need to be in consideration for this list. I'm going to look at that real fast. Okay, I've looked at my top 110 list, and we have 7 beat-em-ups currently sitting on that list, and this is their correct order. So, Ninja Warriors once again, Streets of Rage 4, Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes, Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder, Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge, Night Slashers, and Armored Warriors. So we have 5 slots to fill in with the rest of these games, and I think I'm going to have to do a little bit of consideration of what has been on the list in the past first. And that would be River City Girls 2. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition would probably be next, based on that. From here, though, I don't have anything else that has been on the list before, but I kind of have a feeling I know what these remaining 3 games are, which is Streets of Rage 2. I think Warrior Blade would follow. And then I think we would have Dungeons & Dragons. And I think that I would put Dungeons & Dragons a little ahead of Warrior Blade. So I think that is going to be the new setup. Let's briefly talk about these 12 games. Ninja Saviors, Return of the Warriors, or as I prefer to call it, Ninja Warriors once again. Phenomenal game. Tango Project's best work to date. I think that it is a sublime reimagining of the Super Nintendo game, which was a reimagining of the arcade game. Beautiful sprite work, incredible music, some of the best feeling gameplay in the genre, and it is a labor of love by the original developers to modernize one of their classic games. Couldn't ask for more. Truly a landmark in the entire genre for me, and easily my top choice. It is my 24th favorite game of all time currently. Streets of Rage 4 is second, and it is incredibly deserving. The combined talents of Lizard Cube and Guard Crush made the world of Streets of Rage shine like it has never done before. Incredible animation, beautiful, beautiful visuals, a pumping soundtrack full of just legends of the gaming industry coming together, along with the mainstays of Koshiro and Kawashima. Feels so good to play. Really has a flow and a essence of fighting spirit in it that I don't think a lot of other beat-em-ups capture as beautifully or as elegantly as Streets of Rage 4. It just feels really good to play. So, easily my choice for number 2 on this list. Fire Emblem Warriors 3 Hopes is a not really official take on the Musou style, meeting up with the World of Three Houses. And I really think it's the best of the Musou games that Nintendo and Koei Tecmo have worked on together. Really fun, really engaging, best plot, mostly. If you at least stay with Black Eagle's lane. I don't know so much about Golden Deer, but Shez is a wonderful protagonist, and the gameplay is easily the best feeling out of them all. And I imagine the Switch 2 makes this run a little bit smoother too. Golden Axe, The Revenge of Death Adder. I don't like the original trilogy of Golden Axe on the Genesis, or the arcade original, to be completely frank with you. But this arcade sequel is easily a legendary beat 'em up. It has incredible visuals and really pushes scalar technology. Feels really good to play. Has really creative character options like a centaur. How many other beat 'em ups have you played where you're a centaur? Not many. It's just really ambitious and a grand time all the way around, and it's unfortunate that the only way you can legally play it right now is on the Astro City Mini. It's almost criminal that this has not been re-released in a broader way. It's one of Sega's best games, in my opinion, and easily the best beat 'em up that they have made themselves, since Streets of Rage 4 was not them. Ninja Turtle Shredder's Revenge Tribute Games managed to capture the essence of the Konami beat 'em ups, but made them feel so much better with added moves and attention to details and how things flow together. It is a love letter to the Ninja Turtles cartoon show as well. Really excellent game all the way around. It's one that I forgot when I redid my top 110 to have included, and I'm glad that I remembered it and brought it back on. Marvel Cosmic Invasion is one of my most anticipated games this year because Tribute did such a fantastic job on Shredder's Revenge. Night Slashers, the original arcade game, not the really shoddy looking remake that Forever Entertainment pooped out last year. The original arcade game is a masterwork of horror beat 'em up action and is Data East's best game. Hands down, their best game. It feels good, it looks great, it has a really great atmosphere, it's morbid and gross. It's really superbly done. And it is a tragedy that there is no way to currently purchase this game. You can buy the remake, which is crap, or you could, if you hadn't bought Johnny Turbo's also crap emulation version of Night Slashers, you are out of luck. It's disappointing, and I want Gmode to hear it. Re-release Night Slashers in Arcade Archives. You've done Splatterhouse. There's really no reason. Rated M. Get it out on Arcade Archives. This game deserves a better treatment than it has gotten in the last 5 years, 7 years, 8 years, whenever the Switch first came out. Johnny Turbo's Arcade was pretty quick to get Night Slashers out, and that unfortunately is the way I have to play it, and I don't like it. I want to play a really good version of this. Capcom's best effort in the genre to me is Armored Warriors. It is a really creative, fun take on the beat 'em up with mechs instead of people. It's a lot of fun. There's a lot of really great graphical touches when you pick up certain weapons. You can cut mechs in half and see the pilot on the inside panic as it starts to explode. It's an incredible attention to detail. It's also really fun to play. It's got a really great swap your parts mechanic to it to keep it fresh. It's a great game all the way around. And I don't know if anything's going to top it outside of possibly Aliens vs. Predator if I ever get the chance to play that legally. River City Girls 2 is a game that has been on my top 110. In retrospect, I do feel that it drops the ball in a couple areas, mainly in that it's got weirdly difficult secrets, like annoyingly difficult secrets, that you almost have to glitch the game to get to activate. I don't think that was a smart idea way forward. It kind of hurt my overall vibe of this game, having to go do the most asinine things to trigger a secret point so I could get the best ending. Don't understand that reasoning. Everything else about it is much better than the first. The writing's nicer. The characters are expanded to have 6, and then there's DLC if you want the Lee brothers from Double Dragon to jump in. The gameplay feels great. The music is fantastic. Easily one of the greatest soundtracks of all time, in my opinion. But just the weird difficulty spike is just really weird when it comes to the secret part. And I really wish that Way Forward didn't do that. Hyrule Warriors Definitive Edition is what it says. It brings all of the Wii U content and the DLC for that, along with all the 3DS content that was exclusive to that version, and puts it all together and adds a couple Breath of the Wild costumes for Link and Zelda on top of all of that overwhelming content. And then there's so much to do. This is an inexhaustible game practically, with all of the things you can do with it. Which could be one of its problems, honestly, is that getting everything takes forever. I still think that the boss fights are annoying. They're not as annoying as they were in the original Wii U version, but they're still not a lot of fun for me when a Goma shows up or a Manhandla and just absolutely wrecks your day because they don't cooperate with you to show their weak point, and then having to use a specific weapon to trigger the weak point. Not my favorite idea that they had, but it's at least a little bit easier to deal with in Definitive Edition because you can change characters, which you couldn't do in the original Wii U version. Streets of Rage 2, one of the best 16-bit games of all time, and could arguably be higher on this list than it is. I think that Streets of Rage 4 just did so much so well that the general gameplay feel of Streets of Rage 2 suffers a bit because of that. But in terms of a 16-bit era beat-em-up, it is one of the best. And incredible music, great sprite work, feels great, 4 characters to pick from, grand times all the way around. Dungeons & Dragons Shadow over Mysteria is a fantastic Capcom beat-em-up, one of the last ones that they did. Has an experience system, has a lot of options for playable characters. You can pick 6 default, and then they've got hidden characters that you can also pick. It's a shame that these are not on a modern console. I have it on the PS3, and I would love to have it on the PlayStation 5 or the Switch 2, but unfortunately that is not an option at the moment. I'm hoping that Capcom will re-up that license and get these games back out at some point. But they are a lot of fun, really good fantasy-tinged beat-em-ups. And last but not least, another grand example of a fantasy-tinged beat-em-up with Warrior Blade, the greatest of the Raston games. This game really impressed me. It is Taito doing what Taito did best in the 90s, which is just going ham on huge sprites, gripping soundtracks that are so moody, and having just absolute weird shit. It's a really grand time. I really enjoyed playing it earlier this year for the first time. And if you haven't given it a shot, it is on modern consoles thanks to Arcade Archives, and I highly recommend you check it out. The nice thing is that the majority of these games are on modern systems. Only one that's not currently is Golden Axe, Night Slashers, unless you bought the Johnny Turbo one or can stomach the remake shit, or Dungeons & Dragons. The rest of them you can buy on eShops or the PlayStation Store or the Xbox Live Marketplace or whatever they call their thing, or on Steam. It's wonderful that most of these are available now. Alright, well, we got through 4 genres today. And I feel pretty good about it. We've got some doozies coming up, though. Let me give you a preview. We've got top role-playing games, strategy games, tactics games. I couldn't separate them. I feel like they're in my head, too close together in order for me to separate. And there's a couple that I'm going to be playing very soon that I didn't want to do that list today. Clair Obscur is on my soon-to-play list. The new Romancing Saga I want to play soon. Xenoblade Chronicles X and 3 I want to play soon. I've got a lot of Breath of Fires to catch up on, so on and so forth. I've got all the Final Fantasy Pixel remasters, Dragon Quest 3 HD. There's so much. So I didn't want to tackle this one quite yet. Action adventure games. This one is massive. I think this is actually as big as this list can get. It's 12 by 12. And there's some games that I probably need to put on here that I played more recently. Run and Guns. That one will be fun. Platformers. Another one that I probably need to add one or two to in the very near future. Especially with Donkey Kong Bonanza coming out soon. And then shoot 'em ups. And there's a couple slots there that I need to probably work on filling. And then there's all these genre and console lists that I've got to do. And then we've got franchise lists that I've built. So many lists, but we'll just fly back down to what we just accomplished with beat 'em ups. And just a lot to look forward to, friends. So much to look forward to. I hope you enjoyed looking at 4 different genre takes from me today. And we'll tackle some more in the future, but we'll take a little break from lists to do something else for a bit. Till next time, friends, take care.